Welcome back, WDSR, Duquesne Student Radio. Top of the 2 p.m. hour on Friday, October 11th, 2024. We are going to be doing our Pittsburgh Steelers pregame show. It is Christian Bartoletti and my co-host Ben Giannetta sitting across from me. Ben, first off, as we do every week, I want to get into the injury report. But maybe just to go off of what we were just talking about before we got on air, the George Pickens story. I will full on give the George Pickens details as I know them. So per a source, George Pickens was late to practice either every single practice the beginning of the week or sporadically or one practice. Whatever the case was, he was late.
Okay.
So before the game, he was put on a proverbial pitch count or whatever, however you want to refer to it. He was limited in the game, and this was in punishment to him being late to practice. That's why he saw limited targets, limited snaps, why you saw more of Van Jefferson on the field, Calvin Austin, and whoever the third receiver is that doesn't really get any love. Scotty Miller I don't think he really even played, but it was mostly Van Jefferson. And the reason why you saw him so much was allegedly because of this. George Pickens wrote on his eye black, "Always effing open," which of course induces a fine. I don't think the team also gets fined. I think it's just the player. But if the team also gets fined, then obviously that plays a big role into it. They interviewed him about the Cam Hayward situation. Cam Hayward wrote something on his eye black in 2015, and he got fined for it. Somebody asked George, "Hey, about Cam getting this eye black," and he got fined for it, whatever else. And he's like, "I wasn't even in the league at that point, bro. Like, I don't care. That means nothing to me."
That was 9 years ago?
Yeah,
How old was bro?
They said he was like 15 or something.
15?
They said something like, yeah, he was young and in high school or middle school. And, of course, he doesn't remember that and doesn't want to talk about it. And he was obviously upset, as I think most of the team was from the loss from the Cowboys, which we will talk about later. But, yeah, that to explain the eye black, that was the whole entire idea. And
I think it's being blown out of proportion. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I don't understand why it's that big of a deal.
Well, it comes out because of how many divas the Steelers have had in their team.
It's incredible what happens when you draft a wide receiver with personality issues, and then he has personality issues.
Yeah, but the thing is that people want to blame Tomlin for that, because at the end of the day, he controls the locker room, and it's his guys, and his guys are the ones that are taking it and obviously making it a big deal and suffering through Bell and Brown and Bryant. You haven't really seen a receiver that hasn't had a chip on his shoulder, or hasn't had not chip on his shoulder, but hasn't had
it true.
Since Hines Ward.
Yeah.
Because Santonio Holmes had the whole thing go down with him, and you typically don't get a lot of receivers nowadays that don't have that problem. Like, I think even Mike Wallace had something with him, which is why he ended up leaving. That wasn't just monetary issues, but.
It's like every wide receiver on every team is a diva.
Right, and that's because it comes with the territory. Like, it's the same thing with cornerbacks, where I was watching an interview with Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey said, you want a quarterback, or you want a cornerback who's cocky and arrogant, because you have to be confident when you play that position, or else you're just going to not be good. And every cornerback that you come against thinks they're the best player in the world, because you have to be, or you have to think that way at least.
Definitely. So
for the Steelers to get into their injury reports, I'm going to start out with the Wilsons. So, first off, Roman Wilson isn't even listed on the Steelers injury report. And he has been healthy, I'm pretty sure, fully healthy, 100%. I want to say since like week 3 or 4. And
we did talk about this, like, maybe it was last week or the week before that.
A couple times we've talked about him. Every week we talk about him because this is your third-round receiver. The Steelers are known in that second and third round for taking great receivers. They've done it so many times.
They took Chase Claypool,
who was great, Juju, who was great for the Steelers, and George Pickens now, who has been great for the Steelers.
Second-round pick,
Right. So, and you take this guy, and he had an injury, right? And that's the number one position of need, no matter who you ask.
Absolutely, they need receivers.
Right. It's receiver number one, because that's like the facilitating the problems. The problems on your team stem from your offense not moving the ball down the field, scoring touchdowns, and George Pickens having a lot of problems and being a ticking time bomb, both in part to not having receiver help. On top of that, I would say second is offensive line. But
that's the way it's been for the last 5 years.
Right, and the offensive line is trying to get it figured out, and they just still have not.
Yeah, but it looks like they're investing into the offensive line. It doesn't really look like they're investing in this receiver core.
Well, that's what Roman Wilson was supposed to be. And Calvin Austin was a third-round pick. And Calvin Austin was decent, and especially coming out of Memphis. Maybe he was a fourth round, but he was right in there in the mid rounds.
Yeah.
And he's electrifyingly fast, and I think he can be a very good receiver. He just doesn't get a lot of opportunities because of his size. But they also need to scheme him open and get him the ball in space and allow for him to use his speed. That's where you saw most of his touchdowns are not going to be on the sideline running deep, and he just runs past a guy, right? You have to get him in the middle of the field, have him catch and then run onto a ball and run past people, which you haven't seen the middle of the field being worked a whole lot. But back to the injury report, just to get everything out of the way, because we talked about Roman Wilson. Well, now Russell Wilson, and this is a huge storyline with the Pittsburgh Steelers, is that Russ is fully healthy, and everyone knows it, and he's been fully healthy, and everyone has known that.
This is just an excuse
for Fields to still right. And you don't want to bench him because of what it does to his confidence. And whenever he's playing like this, and you know how it can all change. So it's the same thing that happened to him in Chicago, because whenever they started talking about, oh, this Chicago team's bad, they're going to get the first overall pick, they're in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. You saw him just not necessarily give up because he's still a competitor at the end of the day, but he could sense that
his time there was over.
Right, and the organization didn't trust in him, and the fans didn't trust in him, even though
really
the fans
just
love
gave
him.
Up on him.
Right, exactly, and it definitely diminishes not only your confidence but your feelings with your teammates and the team itself. And it's hard to play on a team that doesn't really trust you and doesn't really want you. But there has been talks about, because there was a 3-game winning streak, you have to let him play. And now that there's a 2-game losing streak, maybe he needs to be benched for Russell Wilson, and just to see what Russell Wilson has. And my dad believes you need to see what Wilson has. I am not in the mindset yet of where Fields needs to be benched.
Neither am I.
But it's not. I don't even know. Okay, so let's keep this. Let's keep the brain out of it. Let's keep the what it will do to his psyche out of it. Stats, play on the field. I don't think it's been so bad to the point where it needs change.
And he's not the reason they're losing games.
Right, and I can agree. I think 130 passing yards is horrendous.
Yes.
But I also think that he
didn't
didn't miss a whole lot of throws.
No, and that was such a weird
game. Bad game. I agree.
That doesn't happen very often.
Right. And there's a whole lot from the Cowboys game that we'll get into, but sticking strictly to the quarterback position for right now, you don't think his play is deserving to be benched. I'm with you.
No, I just don't he's not inherently hurting the team, and he's done stuff to win them games. I think that he's playing. I think he's definitely going to start playing timid now. He's not going to take as many chances.
And that's what we saw against the Cowboys.
He's going to play a whole lot more conservative because he knows that there's calls for him to get benched.
Yeah. And so moving on, running back position, we've got Najee, who didn't practice on Wednesday. I think he was just given a day off. He's fine. And he's a full participant as of yesterday. KZ, the safety, did not practice both days. Warren was limited both days. Minka was limited and then a full participant as of yesterday. Herbig didn't practice both days. Highsmith did not practice and then was limited. Sayamalu didn't practice Wednesday. Full participant on Thursday. Pruitt, who doesn't matter pretty much at all, as a bona fide special teamer. He's our fourth tight end on the roster. Limited participant. Cordero didn't practice both days. TJ didn't practice on Wednesday, but he was full as of yesterday. Hayward and Leal on the defensive line did not participate in practices both days. Ogunjobi didn't practice Wednesday, but limited yesterday. And then Freiermuth was limited yesterday, excuse me. So for the Steelers, Freiermuth's going to play. Hayward's going to play. Watt's going to play.
Yep.
Sayamalu's going to play. I don't necessarily know where Highsmith and Herbig are at, and I think Herbig is going to be out, and I think Highsmith might try to come back.
Highsmith should really start to think that maybe this Herbig kid
is going to come for my spot.
Yeah, it's going to take my job. I should probably get out there and prove that I'm worthy.
And I'm pretty sure he got a contract. Because he was up for an extension. I'm pretty sure he got it.
I'm also pretty sure.
And that's what my dad would say about Najee, right? Because Najee's in his contract year. We didn't accept his 5th-year option, so he needs to prove it and get a deal. And I don't think the Steelers are going to give him that deal, regardless of if he continues his 1,000-yard rushing streak.
Yeah, he signed a 4-year, $68 million extension last year.
Moving on to the Vegas Raiders, and we're not going to go through everybody, but just the notables here. Yeah, so Devontae Adams didn't practice both days. He won't play.
Not going to play.
I'm going to guarantee you he's not going to play.
Nope.
Max Crosby didn't participate in practice both days. I think he's going to be good to go. You can't not have him on the field.
He's your best player.
Especially with how bad the Steelers'
offensive line is.
And I'm going to specifically say our tackles.
He could eat.
Yeah. Michael Mayer did not practice both days. Jacoby Myers did not practice both days. Jackson Powers-Johnson, who I was bullish on to draft.
You wanted him.
I know.
So bad.
And I'm cool with Frazier because Frazier's been playing very well for the Steelers, one of the best offensive linemen for them. But JPJ did not practice both days, and Zamir White, running back, did not practice both days. DJ Turner, limited participant both days. DJ Turner, former Panther.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's because the other Turner was the cornerback for the Bengals, but DJ Turner is the receiver for the Raiders. But that was the injury report for the Raiders Steelers. Now, did you watch a whole lot of the Cowboys and Steelers? I know not live, obviously, but did you watch a recap or see anything?
I haven't watched a ton.
You saw Did you see Dak's stat line of 330 and 2 touchdowns?
I did call that he would throw for more than 40 times or something like that.
Yeah. The passing attempts, but so to give a basic rundown for anybody listening and even Ben in the studio, if you haven't seen it, came out on the offensive drive, and the Steelers took shots down the field. They worked the deep ball. They didn't have it work out, but they allowed for Fields to open the offense up. He threw a deep ball on the left sideline to Connor Hayward, why is Connor Hayward wearing a deep? I think what it was you ever seen the play action where the tight end runs like a shallow crosser, then cuts it up into a wheel?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Pretty much ran that, and he had a linebacker on him or a safety, whatever, and it was I would say 2-yard separation, so it was decent separation.
Okay.
So Hayward, when the ball's in the air looking for it, he slows down a little bit to track it.
Yeah.
And then he dives. And when he dives, it hits his fingertips and goes out for an incompletion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready to say that Fields overthrew. Obviously, the throw wasn't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But if you accelerate through the ball,
yeah, but you can't
and
expect him
catch
to do
it
that.
running, and then that's the thing is he's not your deep shot, your
he's
deep
a fullback.
target.
Yeah.
Right, and I agree. But at the same time, you're supposed to be on an NFL roster.
You're there for a reason.
Yeah, I think he could have had the ball. Another play came against Darnell Washington, or for Darnell Washington, and this was working over the middle of the field. So he was on in his typical sixth offensive lineman role. So he's on the line of scrimmage, right next to the left tackle. He chips and then releases, and he does a little seam route. So he goes out and then cuts it up like a mini amateur post.
Yeah.
So when he does that, there's a run fake with it. So it's play action.
It's play action.
So he fakes blocks, and then he releases like he's going to block a safety, but then he cuts it behind, and the safety's right on his hip and does not turn his head back to the quarterback, doesn't see the ball or whatever. So it's 6'7", 6'8", against, 5'11", and Darnell puts his big hand up in the air, leg forward, in the middle of the field. There's no safety over the top. It's just him in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have a whole lot of separation. But at the same
he's
time,
a lot
6'7".
bigger. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, right.
He's got 8 inches.
So he puts Justin Fields puts it on his hand in the air, right over the top of his head here, and it just misses high. And he missed that throw, and I'll give that. And I think with that separation, if you put air under it, no matter if it's short, long, whatever, I think Darnell has the size to make up to it and grab that football.
Yep.
And so that was a missed touchdown. That was just specifically early on. Down the stretch, they tried to get the run started, and it never did. There wasn't a whole lot of separation from the receivers. The offensive line was getting dominated. I watched a video specifically about all of Najee Harris's carries from behind him, so you could see the blocking and how the defense reacted. And this is going to be sad for me to say, Broderick Jones was getting bullied. And I've always liked Broderick Jones. I thought he was a good pick. I liked him coming out of Georgia. I like his profile. I like that he's 6'6", or 6'4", whatever. He's huge, 320 pounds. He moves fast. He looked mean in college. He looked like he had that tenacity and the nasty streak that you want to see from offensive linemen. To this point, he has just not had it. And I know he's playing out of position. He was a left tackle in college. They moved him to the right. And people out there are thinking, what's the difference, right?
Oh, it's a big difference.
Yeah. And it's more in the footwork and the confidence. So I've talked about this before, especially on the broadcasts, but I played every position on the offensive line.
Yeah.
85% of my playing career, I was left tackle. I'd say 10% was at center, and then the other 5% was sporadically changed between right tackle, right guard, and left guard.
Yeah.
And playing inside is the best position in football, especially center.
Well, because you got help.
Right, exactly, right. So whenever you're at left guard, if you don't have a 3-tech, which is a defensive tackle that's on your left shoulder or your outside shoulder from the ball, if you don't have a defender in front of you there, you're pretty much chipping and helping, and you have a double team with the center every time.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. And you just pick up a blitzing backer. It's way easier. But coming from a tackle, and when I'm in my stance, I have my outside foot back a half step to get out of my stance in pass protection.
Yeah.
So I have been working my entire life, with my post foot being my front foot, which is my right foot, and my back foot. It's flipped. So my post foot, where I have all of my weight shifted towards my back foot, is on the left, and then you pound it forward with your right. So now, with Broderick, it's completely flipped. So his pass set is different, his footwork is different, and his leverage is different.
And working on that for like your entire college career,
right,
even through high school, that is instilled in your mind,
right,
and to just switch it, like that's not easy.
And that's what the Steelers have done a whole lot, is they draft a guy and then move him to a different position that he's never played before, and you just think it correlates, and it doesn't. And you'd think that they'd have realized it now that it doesn't do that, but so you thought you had maybe solved the problem at tackle by drafting him, and then Dan Moore, you didn't solve the problem. So because Dan Moore is still not great, but he's actually, funny enough, at this point looking a little bit better than Broderick Jones, which is sad enough to say. But that is still, and my dad will say, that's no excuse for the way that Najee's playing. And and I know that the holes aren't there, and especially because we talked about how good DeMarvion Overshown was, and he showed it in that game. He was great. It's hard to run against that defense when their linebackers are like that, but their defensive line was so banged up. And that's what I'm waiting to see in this Raiders team, because I think the Raiders, Raiders' problem is their back end.
They have a very good front.
Right.
I mean, you've got Christian Wilkins and you got Max Crosby.
Right. And then they have Tyree Wilson and
yep.
Divine Diablo, who was on their injury report, but I think he's going to play.
He's going to play, yeah.
And Eichenberg and other linebackers like that. And I think they even have – does Merrick help in run? I feel like Merrick sometimes comes up in run support. But
I think he's more of a –
like a deep safety?
I think he's more of a coverage guy.
Okay. But regardless, it's what you saw in the Cowboys game. And I talked about the offense. I'll talk about the defense for the Steelers. It's tough because they did their job a lot. And you're going to point to that last drive where they let the Cowboys go all the way down the field and score the touchdown to win, even after the Landon Roberts play. Did you see the Landon Roberts play?
I did not.
Oh, my
gosh.
What was the I got to see you watch it live.
Okay.
Just Google Landon Roberts 1-yard line. You will flip out. After this play, the fact that we still lost the game, it's absurd. But while you're doing that, I'll continue. The defense had a forced fumble with a recovery.
Okay.
Had a couple sacks. They had 2 interceptions. One was in the end zone. The other one was while they were driving down the field. The forced fumble, I think, was at like the 30-yard line. They blocked a kick. So they took at minimum
4 possessions
and 12 points off the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's
so they deserved to lose, and that was if they didn't even score a touchdown. So it could have been at worst, it could have been 28 points off the board they took.
Yeah.
So they should have lost this game by a lot more, probably.
And the defense, kept them in it.
Right, and they had a chance to win, though, because of the little underhand Chiefs play to Freiermuth for the touchdown. They didn't win, obviously, but you had the chance. With 5 minutes left, you would think maybe let them score early, which obviously no one thinks that, especially with the Steelers' defense and the Steelers' offense, because you don't trust them to go down the field and score. But you'd think you'd have some time left, and Dak and Mike McCarthy, I guess, give it up to them because they perfectly executed the drive. Did you find the play?
I'm looking at – okay, I see this – oh, they just scored. Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Oh, are you watching like a game replay?
I'm looking at the ending.
Oh, the last drive?
It's a 10-minute video.
It's literally the second to last play from them. This happens and then they score after it. But you're going to freak out when you see it, because I could describe it, but it wouldn't do the play justice. You have to see it. And for those at home that don't know, I'll explain after he watches it, just if you didn't see the game. But if you can find it. But regardless, all the things that happened in this game, they 100% should have won. And the offense not being able to move the ball, and this is what my dad said, and he said, if you want to do something to George Pickens, if you want to reprimand him for what he did, don't do it in the middle of a game that you could win that matters. Do it during the week. Do it after the game.
Is he number 50?
Yes. Did you see that play?
Is on second and goal.
Third
when
and
he
goal.
Just flies when he.
Yep. Watch the play.
That's Troy Polamalu-esque.
Did you see it?
Oh
the whole way through.
Oh my goodness! And the fact that they didn't get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's such an amazing play.
Yeah.
I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah.
How you can time that.
He met it, and he put his head to the ball.
Oh, my goodness.
Perfect. You couldn't have asked for it more. And you know what? I said it in my head. I was watching this game, 1 a.m. Technically, it was Monday morning. I got class the next day. I don't care. I'm a diehard Steeler fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching the game, and that play happens on third and goal. And I said in my head, you can never take that kid off the field for the rest of this game. If no matter what happens, that Landon Roberts does not come off the field. And then they pan to him. He's on the sideline with his helmet on. You can't take him off the field after that. I don't.
That's
and here's
such
the
an
thing.
incredible play.
He's the run stopper for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's not the coverage guy. And fourth and goal from the 4, I could see a pass. And I think they were even in. No, they weren't. They weren't in empty. They had a running back in the back to help with pass rush. But
yes.
Yeah, they did.
They did. They had
I think it was Dowdle probably. Who caught a touchdown.
Dowdle. They had Turpin in the slot, CD on one, CD on the bottom, and then they had Tolbert on the top.
Yep. And the worst part about this play is that it's crossers and it's zone. So maybe if it's not zone, then they ran a weird man concept where they just pass. So on crossers
this was zone. I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
it was,
well, but they passed off. That's the thing,
did,
though. But if you're playing man, instead of just running with the players on crossers, you can just communicate that, hey, it's crossers, and they will. It's a mesh play.
Yeah. Like
so, it's either man and
Dante Jackson here is passing off. I'm
yes,
looking at
right. No, I've seen it.
JPJ is following Turpin, and I think and then KZ passes CeeDee Lamb off to Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Right, and then they run with each other. So I also agree that it's probably zone, but in a man concept, whenever you see crossers, you can just change it into zone on the fly because you know where they're going.
Yeah.
So what the worst part about this play is regardless of the coverage, Dak threw this mesh route, which is a short, quick, you get it in a half a second, the ball's in your hands, and it's out, and it's going somewhere in the middle of the field. He threw it in the very last window. There's probably 4 windows within those mesh crossers. You've got on the break, then you've got middle of the field, then you've got left hash, and then you have left sideline. He had enough time with, I don't know if they brought 5 or 4. They probably brought 4.
They brought 4. And what's crazy is nothing else was open.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that was open.
And it wasn't even it wasn't super open because Elliott ran with him.
Yeah.
But the fact is that Dak had, I would say, if you're counting with a stopwatch, probably 2.5. But by my calculations, I would say he had 3.5 seconds to throw the football in a. You bring 4, they block 6. The running back stayed in to block Dowdle. You might have gotten a chip. I'm not sure. I don't even know if they had a tight end in to chip. But the fact is,
he basically had 3.5 seconds.
Yep. Nobody
and no
got
one was even
home.
close to him.
No.
When he threw that ball.
He had a clean
he was
pocket.
drifting back, and he was nobody.
Yes.
Like even T.J. Watt wasn't even close.
No, and that is another big problem. And here's the thing. Oh, I remember Tomlin called this timeout. Or was that last? There was something. I think they came out onto the field, and then Tomlin called the timeout to see what formation they were in. And I'm just sitting there like, why? Because they came out in the same formation, and I think they probably ran the same play.
Yeah, and even if they do score, you're gonna need that timeout.
Well, yeah, for sure, but it just didn't make any sense to me. And I know that Landon Roberts is not the coverage corner for the Pittsburgh or the coverage linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but you God, whenever you see that much effort and the guy that wants to win the football game that badly, he would make a play. I could guarantee you, Landon Roberts left on that field would have made a play because that's what he does. He makes a play, and that's what he did before. And yeah, to not get on that football, obviously it does suck. But to wrap up the entire Cowboys game as a whole, which it was awful, and I'm not gonna cope by saying that they had to wait an hour and a half and they were on a wet field and a rain day and it was midnight and everyone was tired and all this other stuff that went into it. I'm not going to use any of that for why the Steelers lost. I think they had more than enough reasons and more than enough ways to win the football game.
Yep.
They didn't do it. They didn't execute. They were not getting guys open. They were not running the football effectively. They could not stop Dak Prescott's passing ability other than the key turnovers, which the Steelers didn't really do anything with. But then the offense got the touchdown that they needed to go up, and then the defense didn't shut the door. And it happens, and it's what happens whenever you rely on your defense to win you games, is that your defense gets got because no defense is perfect.
Yep.
But when Dak puts up 325 on you, and I think Tolbert had like 80 on the ground or something, your defense isn't what you thought it was. It surely isn't the Chargers game defense where you saw a negative 5 yards in an entire second half. It isn't that. And you cannot rely on teams being busted and broken to win games because that Dallas team was completely on the floor, shattered with no defensive line, no cornerback 2 in that, and no receiver 2. And I think a couple of their offensive linemen were down. Maybe not a couple, but I think one was. But, yeah, bad loss for sure. Back-to-back bad losses. You should be at this point 5-0. You should be an undefeated team. You could have won both of those games. No team outmatched you. No team was better than you. They just executed better, and execution comes down to coaching, and I will say that.
Yep.
I don't think Russell Wilson being in either of those games wins you the football game.
Absolutely not. I mean, there's nothing special about Russell Wilson anymore. I mean,
right. And it's nothing that's like, and they're going to say maybe like poise separates him from Fields, but, and that's the thing. I didn't talk about this. Fields threw up another deep ball. This is like the last deep ball he threw in the entire game. It was to Van Jefferson on the right sideline into double coverage right at a safety. Was one of his worst throws decision-wise I think he's ever made. And from then on, he did not. And then I think the play after that is when he got strip sacked also. And it was after Isaac Seumalo, I'm not kidding, it was a bull rush, Seumalo pass set, and then got hit once and fell flat on his back, pushed over by Linval Joseph. It was very, very, very embarrassing and bad. It was immediate pressure. Linval Joseph punched the ball out as he was taking down Fields. And then I think Fields got back on the ball. But, yeah, so he had back-to-back bad plays, and then from then on they didn't throw the ball deep, ever, not once. And, you know, he made a terrible decision, and he lived to fight another down because the safety dropped the football. But, yeah, that the decision was awful. But that game's behind them, and they have to try to learn from something. And I liked the aggression early. That's what I've been wanting to see for a long time. They threw the ball deep. It didn't complete. You didn't get it to work out, but you can't shy away from it just when it doesn't work. But now we're going to move to the Raiders game. So what do you think that the Steelers offense should do against the Raiders?
I think they just got to get the ball out of Justin Fields' hands quickly early because his confidence is kind of on the floor right now. And people are calling for his job. I think you got to get the ball out of his hands early. And you've been saying this for a while. You got to establish the run. And they just can't. Najee's got to play better. Offensive line's got to play better. And that's asking a lot considering they're playing against Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby. But the corners for...
Is Wilkins out? Why am I thinking that Wilkins is hurt?
I
have no idea why I'm thinking that. But to your point,
he is on the IR.
Yeah.
He was put on the IR Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay.
For a foot injury.
Okay. So he's not. So it's just Crosby and Tyree Wilson.
Yeah. I have Michael Mayer.
And is Bilal Nichols still in there? I don't think Bilal Nichols is still in their D tackle room.
If he is,
he's not even that good. But for that, just to name pull Bilal Nichols.
Bilal Nichols, Bears legend.
Really? I didn't even know he played for the Bears.
He played for the Bears. I don't think he was that good though. No, he's not on the roster.
Okay, never mind. But back to your point, you were going to talk about their cornerbacks next for the Raiders.
I don't,
because their cornerbacks aren't good.
I mean, they have Jack Jones,
who is, yeah.
They have Jacorian Bennett, who had a solid.
Is Nate Hobbs out too, or is he?
I mean, Jacoyan Bennett was okay. He's pretty good his rookie year, but I don't see anything about Nate Hobbs here.
Wow.
No. I see nothing.
Do you think so? Ben Roethlisberger on his podcast said that he wants to see the Steelers work screens and to get the
That
ball.
would be a great thing to do.
You think?
I mean,
I'm still scarred from Matt Canada calling jet sweep to Claypool every 5 seconds and like.
well, now you have a guy that you
bubble
can
screens.
actually
Who?
run Calvin Austin.
Okay.
You actually have a guy now. You don't have to give it to your 6'4" Mapletron, who's a bust.
That's so tough to call him a bust too, because he just didn't pan out after he got traded. But
Man, he didn't even pan out after his rookie season.
Okay, but he was a 1,000-yard receiver.
Michael Carter Williams of the NFL.
Michael Carter Williams, his rookie of the year, the trophy will always be like a fraud. But
He had one of the greatest rookie seasons of like all time in the NBA though. What do you talk like? Okay,
what do you have? 19, 6 and 6. I guess that's not bad.
I'm pretty sure he almost had a quadruple double though.
No.
With steals.
Oh my god.
Like he was close. I know he was close.
Back to Pittsburgh Steelers and Raiders. That was funny. So Pittsburgh Steelers Raiders.
Okay, you're gonna tell. Okay, first I just want to make this point. You're gonna tell me 17, 6 and 6 with 2 steals.
What the heck did I just say? I said 19, 6 and 6.
That's an incredible season. That is an incredible season.
Dude,
granted, he shot 26% from 3.
You're right.
But
and
that's
you're an analytics guy. No, you're an analytics guy. His shooting percentage, it was awful. His efficiency, what's his efficiency rating? Dog. Okay. So I'm right because I said 19, 6 and 6. He went 17, 6 and 6. I'm on one.
Yeah.
But
and his career went down really
Oh yeah,
badly
he's not
after
even in
that.
the league anymore.
Yeah, just like actually he was in the league last year. He played 4 games for the Orlando Magic, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Mapletron is not playing for anybody right now.
No, he is.
Is he still on the Dolphins roster?
No, he's a free agent. I signed him in Madden. I did a Steelers thing and I traded back for Deontay Johnson. And no, I'm telling you something about seeing DJ with his dreads out in 18. It just does something to me. And yeah, I know that sounded bad, but DJ, come back. We need you, baby. I'm just kidding. So the Raiders. I'm gonna break down this Raiders team for anybody listening. They don't have Devontae Adams, so that is their receiver 1.
Or Jacoby Myers,
who he's up in the air. I don't know if he's out or not, but he's up in the air.
He's questionable.
Right. So that's their receiver 2, who's now their receiver 1. And I like Jacoby Myers, and he's decent, but he's not going to be
except for that
Devontae Adams.
one play against the Raiders 2 years ago. But
Well,
that should go on.
Against the Patriots, whenever he lobbed the ball and whatever else happened.
No, he was playing for the Patriots against the Raiders. That was when he was on the Patriots.
Right.
And they might not even have Brock Bowers.
Or Michael Mayer.
Or sorry, Michael Mayer. I don't know why.
Right, because Brock Bowers had 8 receptions, 97 yards, and a touchdown last
Dude's
week.
a monster.
Yeah. So just to break this down, and it's going to be Aiden O'Connell as the quarterback.
I did see that.
For the
I don't
Raiders.
think it's time to necessarily bench Gardner Minshew. I mean,
I think Aiden O'Connell's been playing though, isn't he? It hasn't been Minshew, or has it been?
I thought it was Minshew last
That's
week.
what I thought it was too, but Aiden O'Connell was playing, and he's on.
We saw what he did last year.
I looked up the lines so that we had like actual betting lines instead of just making our own, and his line was like 175.5 for passing yards, and it was O'Connell for the starter for the Raiders. So that's who sports books are saying that he is going to be the starter.
Minshew. Okay, they both played.
Okay.
Minshew went 12 for 17, 137 yards, touchdown, 2 picks.
Got benched in the Broncos game.
Aiden O'Connell came out, went 10 for 20, 94 yards and a pick.
Was his pick the pick 6, or is that? That's probably Minshew, so I don't think I'm benched.
I do not. Who watched this game besides Broncos
Nobody.
Raiders fans?
Yeah, nobody. Just to go back to breaking this down. So the Raiders receiving core is hurt, and it's also not good, and the quarterback room is not good. The running back room is not good. The offensive line,
especially if Zamir White isn't going to play,
and he isn't even that good. It's going to
be
be Madison and Abdullah if it's not.
Yeah.
And the offensive line, I don't think JPJ's been even playing that great. I know Colton Miller is there, but I think he's hurt. They don't have any. I think they signed Robert Hunt for a boatload of money. And
is he there? That would surprise me.
Because he went from Miami to Oakland or Vegas, excuse me, and he's not any good. So this offense is anemic.
He is not there.
Robert Hunt.
Robert Hunt is not there.
Never mind. Maybe it was a Bears pick or something. I don't know.
They have Dylan Parham.
Yeah, nobody.
Andreas P. JPJ. Cody Whitehair. Deji Glaze. Colton Miller. Thayer Mumford Jr.
Cody Whitehair was good in the Bears, and I think he's been having a problem.
He was never. I mean, he was good. He was never like, you know.
He was. It was him and James Daniels who were really good on the Bears.
Yeah, JPJ is questionable.
Right. There's Colton
Dylan
Miller
Parham. Dylan Parham and Colton Miller are also both questionable.
Oh, I thought Miller was out.
So Miller, Parham, and this is of 2 days ago. Dylan Parham and Colton Miller, and then also JPJ are all questionable. So that's pretty big. If at least
one or two of them can't play.
Yeah.
And Colton Miller is their right tackle. So that'd be who's TJ. Or is he
I think Colton Miller's left.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. But whoever's on right is nowhere near as good as Colton Miller.
And you're going to have Brock Bowers come in and chip on TJ, and Brock Bowers is a receiving. And it's not like he can't block, but he's a big guy,
but he's definitely not a blocker.
No. And this Raiders team is bad. They beat the Ravens, and everyone's like, what the heck? This Raiders team's not bad? This Raider team is bad.
Yeah, I think that was just a product of this so weird NFL season. I think that was just a product of that.
So, I don't know. I look at this game, and I'm trying to have an outside perspective and not take into account the Colts slacking and the Cowboys' ineptitudes. But
I just think that the quality of these rosters is just so different.
The Steelers? Were you going to talk about the Steelers' roster quality?
It's just so much better than the Raiders.
That's what I'm saying.
And I don't know. I don't see a world in which the Steelers lose this game. And if they do, then I don't know anything about NFL football, and I should just stick to college.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna really hurt me later because I'm gonna watch this game Sunday, and it's gonna really come back at me. If Fields doesn't throw at least 225 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, a change needs to be made. And whether it's a quarterback, whether it's offensive coordinator, whether it's trading for a receiver, or anything of the sort, if you cannot put up 2 and if they get to the 1 and run the ball in 3 times,
that's different.
Right. If you cannot put up 2 passing touchdowns and put up 225 yards against this defense.
Yeah, you know what? That's true.
This defense is bad.
It really is bad.
It's bad.
I mean,
and the offense is bad. The defense, how this game should go. The defense suffocates O'Connell because their offensive line is not good.
Yep.
Forcing him to force balls into windows that aren't there, making our cornerbacks, who are not great for the Steelers, make plays on the ball, maybe getting turnovers, or takeaways, excuse me. The offense gets set up in good field positioning. They ride momentum, even in Vegas, because the Steelers fans travel so well. They're going to be there in abundance. And they just should beat the dog out of this team. And it should be a Najee Harris show. If you want to have a come-out game, and Pickens should be fired up and angry after all this stuff that's been going on, and he hasn't proven anything. Maybe you want to blame his targets as for why he didn't have a good game, but 7 targets, 4 receptions, I think 29 yards or something, and no touchdowns or anything else to show for it, and a drop. You cannot have that happen if you want to be the level of receiver that he thinks he is. Yeah. And you're not going to get the money that you think you're going to get if you can't have big games. And this is that thing where you need to have a big game. And the Steelers typically do good against the Raiders. It's as of recent history.
Yeah,
I know
definitely.
The historic record has not been great. I don't care about games in the 60s and the 80s whenever there was no Terry Bradshaw or whatever else. In recent history, the Steelers have done great against the Raiders.
Yeah, and that Raiders defense gave up 206 yards and 2 touchdowns against Bo Nix.
That's what I'm saying.
Like Bo Nix. And then they gave up 36 points to Andy Dalton and the freaking Panthers, who had, I mean, granted, that was Andy Dalton put up 319 and 3 touchdowns on them.
Yeah, that was released frustration. That was 3 weeks of having terrible football being played by the Panthers, and they needed something, and they got it.
Yeah,
but
so
the Steelers are the same way. They've played bad football. Well, I don't even want to say bad because that Colts game first quarter was bad, and then everything after that seemed to be decent for me. But yes, I'm with you that if the Steelers don't win this game, we're completely wrong. But there's just something in my head that says that the Steelers are going to lose, and it's just like it's unfathomable. If you go from being 3-0, top of the division, and then you catapult to 3-3, and probably going to be second and fighting for third in your division.
I don't think they'll be fighting for third.
Well, because 1-4 Bengals, but they're probably going to be 2-4 if they figure it out. But
yeah.
And then whatever
Ravens
happens with the next game with the Jets.
Yeah, but we got Ravens could easily lose to the Commanders this week.
Right.
That could easily happen.
Yeah. But
I don't think it will, but it could.
Because I'll tell you how I think the game should go, and then I'll tell you how I think it will actually go. It should go if the Steelers win the coin toss. Offense first. I don't care. Offense first. First play, you're throwing a deep ball to George. No matter what. Don't care. Deep ball to George, even if it's triple cover, just to show him that we don't give a crap who's over there. We're throwing it to you. Okay. Then you can try to start, because that's not going to go for anything. The deep ball to George will just be whatever. And if it's something, it's something. And if it is a completed catch or anything, I would go no tempo on the ball, no huddle.
Okay.
Just get him on the ball, have him not being able to think, he being Justin Fields. Get him on the ball, have him go possession offense, tempo offense, where if you get a completion, you're on the ball. And it's just always like looking to the sideline, getting the play call, and going. And you don't have time to think about who's going where or whatever. You're just playing football. Because when Justin Fields is able to just play football, he's great.
We saw that first 3 weeks.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is like I'm going to say at some point you have to run the ball, obviously, just to see what you have there. Run away from Max Crosby, and because Max Crosby will be going against Broderick Jones. He's the same side as Watt, and it'll be him against Broderick Jones. I'm not ready to say that Broderick Jones has been a bust, or that he is a bust. Excuse me. He has been a bust to this point. I'm not ready to say that he's going to be for the rest of his career.
We saw what you mentioned. Andrew Thomas. Maybe that was before this.
No, he was. Yeah,
but
he's a Georgia tackle.
Andrew Thomas was terrible his rookie year, absolutely awful. And then the next year, he just completely turned it around.
Yeah, you can figure it out on the offensive line.
Absolutely.
And he has a lot of time because offensive linemen play for a long while. But
yeah, they're very valuable.
Yeah, but as of now, he's not where he needs to be, and I think everybody knows that.
And maybe if they move him back to left.
Yeah, but then you have to move more over to right, which I think Dan Moore
played
right.
I'm talking like next season.
Oh well, yeah.
Like if you can get a right tackle, move.
I
move Broderick back to left.
Fautanu was the right tackle.
Yeah,
and he's hurt.
He's hurt.
Right, but anyways, that's how the game should go. You have to develop the run at some point. I understand that, but if you try it and it's not there, I don't care what you think. Don't do it. And we talked about it last week about how the Steelers try to have the quarterback designed run, and it doesn't work ever. And then we talked about how Fields whenever he has his big runs, he doesn't do it from a designed run. It has been off of a scramble.
And that's all. Yeah, you're right. That's always done it. Going back into, did Chicago even draw up design runs for him?
They had. I remember I think his first career rushing touchdown was a design.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like a power off of this an outside zone though.
Because all I remember are those 70-yard runs.
Yeah, where
he's just scrambling.
Yeah. The first one I remember, he caught the ball, immediately tucked it, ran to the right, off the right tackle. It's like a power to the outside. You can pretty much block it like an outside zone. Everyone's pretty much just trying to hook right and get on that other one's outside shoulder and just turn it all up to the outside. Yeah. And he just got to the end zone, or he got to the sideline and then cut inside of safety and then took it to the end zone. But I don't know, because I'm trying not to get flustered thinking about it, because I just can envision the loss that's coming this weekend, and it will do irreparable damage to my psyche.
I don't think that the Steelers lose this game. I really. Especially if Aiden O'Connell is going to start, he's not a very good quarterback.
All right, so give me a Pittsburgh Steelers stat line for the defense, specifically for the defense. I think you need to get, and this is going to be a big number, you need to get 5 sacks.
I think that's completely doable, especially with this banged up offensive line that they're playing with.
Right, and TJ
needs to get 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And Hayward probably
could get 1.
You get 1.
And if Highsmith's back, depends.
Yep.
I like Benton too, but Benton's a run stuffer more than a pass rusher.
Yeah.
And I would say in the back end,
someone's gonna get a pick.
It has to happen.
Someone will. I don't know who. It might be Minka.
Yeah.
Could be Deshaun Elliott.
Yeah.
Maybe it's JPJ. I don't know. Dante Jackson. Someone's going to.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Because Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew, one of those two, whoever's playing is going to turn the ball over. I'd be surprised if they didn't.
No, I'm with you. I'm trying to think of genuinely, like, because Patterson's out, and I don't think Warren's going to play. I don't.
Oh, is that kindergarten teacher? Is he still going to play?
Oh, Aaron Shamklin.
Is that guy still
the
playing?
The Harvard backup running back? Yeah, I think he would still be our running back, too, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But
how did he play against the Cowboys?
He got, like, one rush for, like, 2 yards. Like, there was nothing to speak of from offensively in that Cowboys game. I was watching with Molly, and then we got into a little disagreement, and I almost passed out. Not from the disagreement, but from just being tired and whatever. And I didn't really catch a whole lot of the third quarter. It wasn't much to speak of in the third quarter that happened, especially on offense. When I tell you this game, like, I don't know if not that it should have never been played, but it just was you just kept watching it and you're like, what's the point of this game? Like, there was literally no point. Like, the offense would go down and then something would happen, and then the Cowboys would get the ball, they go down offense, go on the 20-yard line, about to score a touchdown, interception, and you're like, so this is literally pointless. And then come back to the Steelers offense, and the Steelers offense would run the ball for nothing, try to throw the ball on third down for an incomplete pass, and then pump the ball away, and you're like, okay, so this game is just literally pointless. And it was pointless until the fourth quarter, and then right at the end it picked up, and it transpired as you saw. But all right, and for the Raiders to go against the Steelers, what they need to do, the Steelers have not been great. Obviously, stopping the pass has not been their key strong suit, but the Raiders don't have the facilities to outpass the Steelers, I don't think.
Can they outpass anybody?
You would think no, but when Aiden O'Connell out throws Justin Fields this weekend, I'm going to lose it. Because that's the thing. It's
and he has no
skills.
Devontae Adams.
Skills. He has no skills. Just say it.
I didn't want to go that bad.
He has no skills.
He might have no good Jacoby Wires. He might not have a Michael Mayer. He definitely doesn't have Devontae Adams.
And I think the biggest storyline here is what will transpire after the game. Because obviously Adams has not gotten traded yet, and everyone has talked about the Steelers.
Do you want to hit that for like 5 minutes and then just do
the mock up of the parlay?
Let's talk about Fonte.
Yeah. So Devontae Adams.
Yeah, good thing for the Steelers. I don't think he's going to the Saints anymore because of Derek Carr's injury.
Yeah.
Derek Carr was pretty much the only selling point there. He wants to go play with his best friend from college. That's why he went to the Raiders.
Yeah, but he wants to be on a contender. So I think now in the running you'd see the Chiefs. I do.
Chiefs, Jets, and then Steelers. Those
I don't even think the Jets are honest contenders. They just fired their head coach, and it's going to come down to what we see on Monday night.
I mean, I think he would want to play with Aaron Rodgers again.
Yeah, I could agree. But I think honestly, Aaron Rodgers isn't what he used to be, and I mean, I can say that.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're coming off an ACL tear.
Yeah, you're not.
Or not ACL, Achilles tear, and you're 40 years old. You're not.
But
Tom
you
Brady.
also
you're
used
close,
you used to be a back-to-back MVP candidate.
You're not Brady. You're close, but you're not.
No, but so I think the storyline here for Adams is you would think from somebody's point of view, whether it's Devontae's or just if you're putting yourself in the athlete's shoe, you would want to play this game because everybody in the world knows that Devontae Adams is not injured with a hamstring injury.
He's just holding out.
Yes, he said that so that he doesn't have to play, because if he plays and gets his head taken off, then he's going to be zero for trade and be stuck in Vegas for the rest of the year. So he's not going to risk that. And he also diminishes his draft value or his trade value and then his signing value after that, because he's in a contract year after the fact if he gets hurt. So he's going to hold out. He's not going to play. If you're Adams, you're playing against the team who has been the strongest
pursuer,
and yes, in trying to get you. You're playing them. Would you not play this game to show them, hey, whatever you think I'm worth, double it because I'm that good? You'd think.
You would think, but
that's not what he's
Aiden O'Connell's going to be throwing him the ball.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
If any competent quarterback was there, I think he'd play to raise his trade stock. But
with
Aiden O'Connell, I don't think that.
Right.
I mean, I could see him having like a 6 catch for like 52 yards kind of stuff.
I could see a touchdown, but that's just me. But
what do you if the Steelers do I have two questions. If the Steelers do trade for Devontae Adams, what does that do for their Super Bowl aspirations? And then what does a Devontae Adams contract look like? Do you let him go? It was just a rental, or do you try and re-sign him at the ripe age of, what is he, 31 or 32?
Something like that.
Yes, those are my two questions for you.
So just re-signing him, I think he is one of the receivers that can still play good into his old age, and he won't have a Julio Jones level fall off.
That needs to be studied.
Julio Jones is when he left Atlanta was really bad. I don't think he'll fall off that badly. I don't think, because your first point, I don't think there's any Super Bowl hopes in Pittsburgh at all. Before the season, I think everyone would have told you 0. Going into the season after 3 weeks, I think everybody would have told you about 20, 30%. And now I think everyone's back to 0 just because we've shown, this Pittsburgh Steelers have shown, they don't have it. The defense looked like they had it through 3 weeks. Past 2 weeks, they don't. That's the thing. There needs to be something. I think Adams opens up the offense. I think it takes away all of the focus on George. It makes the run game easier because you have to worry about the pass game. It makes Fields more confident playing with that guy like that. And it makes your receivers better because they have someone to learn from with his caliber.
Especially for a guy like Roman Wilson.
Yeah, for sure. And
who they should probably begin to get onto the field.
Who's more of a route runner. And Tomlin has done that a lot by bringing guys on in trials and trying to try them out here and try them out here. You need help. And something needs to change because you had a good start and then you've fallen off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
And people are calling for your job. And it's just fans. And Tomlin is secure in Pittsburgh. But you need to change something. And that's something. I think this trade works out. I think it works for the Steelers. And if it doesn't, it's because of your coaching hire. And I have believed that Arthur Smith and Matt Canada and everything, I had believed that they were the problem. Looking back on it now, Kenny Pickett was JV levels compared to the quarterback that the Steelers have now, and he was winning games for them. So maybe they were playing above their means with Canada, and now they're playing below their means with Arthur Smith.
I don't know.
Time will tell. I don't know either, to be honest, but I have seen Justin Fields. And there's a reason why he went so high. And they said the same thing about Darnold now in Minnesota, where they're like, oh, everyone thought Sam Darnold sucked. And
put him in the right system.
There's a reason why he was the third overall pick.
Yeah.
Right. There's a reason for that. Baker Mayfield, the same way. There's a reason why he was the first overall pick. It wasn't that he sucked in Cleveland or whatever. It was that Cleveland sucked, and he's actually pretty good. And it's happened a lot with a lot of first-round quarterbacks. Other than Trey Lance is the only one where he went somewhere else. And Trey Lance also hasn't really gotten a chance to play outside of San Francisco.
No,
I don't care, though, because he's not that good.
No.
But
same, yeah.
This is like one of the first guys that you've seen who had a lackluster or a not-so-good stint with his drafted team. This is his first team after his drafted team. And I think that he can be the same shadow that he was at Ohio State. He just, I don't know. And he needs to work on his touch, too, because he does just beeline balls at people, and you have to figure that out.
And you know what? That's something that Russell Wilson should really work on him with.
Yeah. And because that's what Russ does. That because Kenny had to put everything on every single pass, or else it was getting intercepted. Fields has the arm strength.
Oh,
so did Russell, because he was a baseball guy and everything else. They have the arm strength to throw the football hard.
Yeah, that's cool, but you need touch.
Yeah. You have to be able to throw guys open or have guys in not tight windows, but whenever it's down the field and there's a foot of separation. And that's the thing, too, is that it's not like he always beelines them, because the throws to George down the sidelines have been perfectly lofted. Yeah. It was just those key throws to his tight ends. He's trying to put it on the tight ends, which is a good idea because they're supposed to be stronger to hold on to the football and take the contact. But I don't know. We kind of covered everything. Obviously, we're going to get to our four-leg parlay with our made-up lines, but just one final overhaul on this game. I think Steelers win. Gosh, dude, I want to say 31-17. 31-10. I want to say 31-10.
That's bold.
And I said it last week.
That's bold.
And it didn't happen. 31-10. If it's not 31-10 or something close to it, then I just think the Steelers are fake. They suck. Really. I'm ready to say it if they lose this game especially. 31-10. I have 4 touchdowns. I'll say defense, like I said last week, and then I'll say 2 Fields throws, and I'll say a Najee run. And the Fields throws will go to Pickens and Pat.
Okay.
And there'll be a touchdown for the Raiders off of a huge play. It'll be like a defense just giving up a big time play.
All right.
Probably DJ Turner, or not DJ. It's DJ Turner is the cornerback. Who is
DJ Turner's the receiver.
So then what's the Turner cornerback then? For the Bengals. That was Michigan. They ran a 4-2 or 4-3 flat or a 4-2.
I also think that's DJ Turner.
Okay. Trey Tucker. That's who I'm thinking of. Trey Tucker is the receiver from Pitt.
No.
Who's Trey Tucker?
Okay, there is a DJ Turner, went to Pitt, number 19. There is also a Trey Tucker from Cincinnati who plays for also the Raiders. There's a are you saying Dre Turner or DJ Turner?
I said DJ.
Yeah,
It's
DJ
Dre.
Turner plays for the Raiders. So does Trey Tucker. Who is
the Turner that played at Michigan for the Bengals?
Just look at the Bengals roster.
31-10 final. Touchdown comes on a huge play. Probably a gashed run. I wanted to say it was going to be a big long pass to this Pitt receiver, but I'm not ready to say that. DJ Turner?
DJ Turner the second
is
a corner who plays for the Bengals.
And DJ Turner, the receiver,
plays for the Raiders. There are 2 DJ Turners. One
and the DJ Turner for the Raiders was a receiver at Pitt.
Yes, he was. Yep.
Okay.
And the DJ Turner corner on the Bengals did go to Michigan, so that's the same guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I knew that I was there, but I was just all over the place.
A lot of DJ
What is your score prediction?
I have 26-9.
Okay, so we're right around the same.
Yeah, but I've got a lot more field goals.
Well, that's probably more acceptable, to be honest, with how bad.
I have 4 field goals for the Steelers, 3 for the Raiders. I mean,
that's so much. That's
touchdowns.
so much better than mine, but I don't really care.
I think mine's a little bit more realistic.
Oh, 100%, 100%. No way that the Steelers are going to score 4 touchdowns. Ooh, this is going to be funny. I'm doing my thing now. My player prop bet love parlay. If you're out there listening right now, make your own parlay. Send it over to us, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and they'll probably be better than
Yeah. Because you know what's funny? I went back and I watched or listened to our takes.
Yeah.
You picked the the 49ers. I picked Seattle. 49ers won.
They did.
You took the under. I took the over hit. So we were
Look at
we were both
that.
1 and 2. We split.
Split it.
Yeah. So we're going to do 2 for each team. You're gonna love that the way I posed that.
All right, I am ready whenever you are.
Do you wanna? Okay, I'm gonna do this, and then. Oh! I'm an idiot. Okay. I have gotten my 4. You go first.
All right. So my first one, I have Aiden O'Connell over 1.5 interceptions.
Okay.
I have Najee Harris under 15 carries.
Because he had like 12 against Dallas.
I have Justin Fields over 225 yards passing.
225.5 or 225 flat?
You know what? I will make it 14.5 carries for Najee Harris, and I will make it 24.5. 224.5 yards passing. And then I have Brock Bowers over 8.5 receptions.
I have TJ Watt over 1.5 sacks.
Okay.
I've got O'Connell under anything yards related. Under on anything yards related.
You're going to set a line.
Nope, anything yards related. I fake line 175, 176 or something was his line.
I think
on
you
the
said 175.
Okay, 175.5. I'm taking the under of it, and you're gonna love this. Fields over 225.5 passing yards. So we had like pretty much the exact same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had Brock Bowers anytime touchdown score.
Okay. All right.
And you got 26.
I have 26-9. You have 31-10.
Which, dude, golly. Let's put a bet down. If the Steelers lose, what do I have to do? And let's make it realistic.
What do you?
100 push-ups, and I can't do 100 in one sitting. But
you have to you have to do however many yards Aiden O'Connell's throws for. That's how many push-ups you have to do if the Steelers lose.
In one day, I could do it in a day for sure.
I'll give you the entire day.
Oh, I could do it. Anyways, guys, thank you all for listening. It's been a blast. We've had a great time talking about the Steelers and the Raiders. We're going to see a great game as we're going to play you out on the top of the 3 p.m. hour.
Hopefully the recap of this game next Friday will be a little bit more
it doesn't
upbeat,
bite us. Yeah.
But
yeah. I'm a sad Steelers fan, and it's been a long season. But thank you guys for listening on your Friday and taking the time out of your day to listen to us yap on here. I have been Christian Bartoletti with my co-host
Ben Giannetta.
Yep. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great day.